Okay, in your notebook, you are going to take notes and write your examples. So we are going to solve one-step equations. And the first thing that you need to remember are inverse operations. So these inverse operations. We're going to go through and list all the inverse operations. That means adding and subtracting are inverse operations, and then multiplying and dividing are inverse operations, and then also your exponents. And new this year that you learned, your inverse operation of exponents are your roots. Remember the little radical for cube and square roots? So those are inverse operations. We will not be using the last one, but in the future you will. So an example of how to solve a one-step equation would be m plus 2 equals 5. Now, Mrs. Leganke and I both want you to just practice and get in the good habit of showing your work. So m plus 2 equals 5. The inverse of adding is subtracting. So you're going to subtract 2 from both sides of the equation. If you need to, you can draw a line through your equal sign to help you do it on both sides of the equal sign. Positive 2 minus 2 is 0, so that leaves just m on this side. And 5 minus 2 is 3. Our next example is, let's do a minus 3 equals 10. The inverse of subtracting 3 would be to add 3. So we're going to add 3 to both sides of our equation. Negative 3 or subtracting 3 and positive 3 equals 0. So we have just a. And then 10 plus 3 is 13. So a equals 13. Another example. Let's do 2a equals negative 16. So here, between your 2 and the variable, this is multiplication. There isn't a sign there, but you just need to know that whenever you have a coefficient, which would be 2, and a variable next to each other, you are always going to multiply. We don't show the sign, but that's what's happening. They're multiplying. So the inverse operation of multiplying by 2 would be to divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is really 1. And then negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Alright, we'll do one more like this, and then we will move on. Let's do b over 4 equals 20. So right here, we are dividing. So the inverse of dividing would be to multiply. So we are going to multiply both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so that leaves just b. And 20 times 4 is 80. All right, we are going to do some examples of the that quiz practice link. So if you feel like you got it, then you can go on. If you feel like you need to see the that quiz examples, you can stay on. And okay, so here we have an example from that quiz. We are going to first look at what operation we have here, and we have subtraction. So the inverse operation would be to add 6 to both sides. When you add 6 and subtract 6, that's 0, so we have just x equals, and then 1 plus 6 is 7, so you're going to pick your 7 choice over off to the side, and then you will hit OK. Alright, last example. So again, you're going to look for your inverse we'll look to see what operation. So here we're adding, so we are going to do the inverse, which is subtract 1 from both sides. And positive 1 minus 1 is 0, so that leaves just x on the left side. And we have 3 minus 1, which equals 2. So you're going to go over to the left here, pick your choice, and then put it in and press OK. Now go on to the practice. You want to get an 80% or higher.